My name is Derek Beaupre. I'm with Nolan Business Solutions. I'm the Channel Development Manager for Nolan, and I work typically with our GP partners as well as helping on the customer service side of things. In addition to myself, we also have Carol Darcy on the line. She's our senior consultant. She's been working in the GP community for 15 plus years, and in addition to that, she's going to walk through the actual demonstration itself today. And Carol's also a CPA. What I'm going to do is just start and walk everybody through the agenda today, starting with who we are, Nolan as a company, giving you a bit of background on us. And then from there, we're just going to move straight into our solution overview, and we're going to be walking through today our advanced bank reconciliation solution, our intercompany postings, as well as our intercompany pop to SOP. And then, as Kayla had mentioned, we're going to finish up with a Q&A. And yeah, so if you have any questions, just be sending them in throughout, and we'll catch up with them at the end. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Nolan Business Solutions, a little bit of our history. We've been an ISV for a long time within the channel, since 1998. We are located internationally. Our U.S. office is in Boulder, Colorado. We have our corporate head office in the UK, and we do have an additional office in Canada. Nolan specializes in producing add-ons to bring additional functionality into Microsoft Dynamics GP. And with what we're going to show you today, you'll see the majority of our solutions. As you can see on the right-hand side there, we're going to walk through all of our main solutions, the advanced bank reconciliation, our intercompany solutions, as well as our intercompany pop to SOP. We're not going to focus on the SOP import, but we are absolutely open to take some questions on that later on as well. So with that, that's kind of the background on Nolan and myself and Carol. And with that, I'm going to pass things off to Carol to walk us through the presentation.
Great. Thanks, Derek, and welcome everybody, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to demonstrate our solutions, starting with the advanced bank reconciliation for Dynamics GP. So just from a product overview, I'd like to just give you a bit of an overview and then an overview of the process into a couple slides, and then we're going to jump right into the demonstration, because I find that sometimes it just helps people get a good understanding of the whole process and how it all comes together, and then as I walk you through the steps in the software, it makes that much more sense. So the Advanced Bank Reconciliation module works inside Dynamics GP, and it facilitates fast and simple reconciliations. And why we're saying that is because we have very strong auto matching and reconcile capabilities that can be set up in our application, allowing you to hopefully streamline your bank reconciliation process as much as possible. Our goal with clients is always to try to let our software do the work for up to 80 to 90% of the transactions, so that you can really just focus on those exceptions that you need to handle. Everything that goes together has already been matched for you. We import bank statements in both an CSV and a BAI file format, so we support both. And essentially from a process standpoint, we're going to be extracting transactions directly from the GL. So that's probably our biggest differentiator with the Dynamics GP bank reconciliation module, is our focus is really on what has been posted into your GL cash account. We're not as much focused on the checkbook ID, which for those of you that are perhaps using it, realize that it's sort of its own subledger in the GP world, sometimes making it a little difficult to reconcile, because you're looking at somewhat of a three-way reconciliation between your checkbook ID and making sure that that balances to your GL, and then you can do a reconciliation ultimately to your bank statement. So because our software is really focused on reconciling what has been posted to the GL, we strongly feel that if it's been posted in the GL, it needs to be reconciled against your bank statement. We also have a lot of detailed reporting and audit capabilities as well that I'll be demonstrating. So from a process overview then, what I'm going to walk you through is we're going to start on our reconcile screen. Our reconcile screen has some basic information about your bank, and it's going to give you two sets of data to work with. The first set on the left-hand side is going to be your GL transactions from your cash account that we will be extracting and also leveraging auto-grouping rules capabilities in our software. So as we're extracting the GL transactions, perhaps you have some transactions that have been posted individually in the GL, such as cash receipts or payroll checks, but they actually hit your bank on at a summarized level. So perhaps for payroll with a large ACH withdrawal, or cash receipts are actually rolled into the bank as a bank deposit. So we have some auto-grouping rule capabilities allowing you to just perform that grouping in the background so that once it comes time to reconcile on this screen, it's an easy match with how it actually hit your bank account. On the right-hand side, you're going to have your second set of data, and that's going to be your bank transactions that are being imported from either a CSV or a BAI file, as I indicated earlier. And we also have, as part of this import process, auto-posting rule capabilities. The auto-posting rules essentially allows you to recognize perhaps recurring transactions such as bank fees or anything that hits your bank statement on a regular basis and that you want to automatically post to the GL instead of having to work the other way around where you got to record a GL transaction or a bank increase adjustment or decrease adjustment so that it flows in here for you to reconcile against your bank statement. We actually take care of that recurring transaction for you and just automatically post it to the GL upon import of the bank statement. Once you have your two sets of data, on the left-hand side the GL, on the right-hand side your bank statement, then our software has reconcile rule capabilities that you can define so that transactions are either reconciled based on amount value, based on transaction dates. We can do matching based on your check number. That's one that we see regularly with clients. So there's a number of elements that you can leverage and you can set up in our software to, once again, as I indicated earlier, try to auto-match up to 80 to 90% of your transactions, leaving you with really just dealing with the 10% that's left. With those unmatched transactions, that 10% that's left, we have some additional on-the-fly capabilities allowing you to consolidate GL transactions on the fly, perhaps to do a one-to-one matching to your bank statement, and you also have the ability to create GL transactions on the fly for transactions, the odd one that might have hit your bank but has not been recorded in the GL yet. So with that all said, I'm going to walk you through our demo. So I'm now logged into Dynamics GP using our good old Fabricam company. And the first thing I'm going to bring to your attention is our reconcile screen that we would just, and I do realize that on the PowerPoint slide it was probably a bit hard to see, so hopefully this is a bit better for you. So this is really the heart of our software, is this reconcile screen. So you'll notice at the top that I've got some banking information about the bank account that I'm about to reconcile. I've got the current book balance in the GL as of March 31st, so $940,000. And I've got some bank statement information on the right-hand side. So this is really, and this is my statement ending date as of the last time I did my reconciliation. So that's kind of my starting point here based on the last time I did the reconciliation. First, what we're going to do is extract the GL transactions on the left-hand side of the screen by going to Routine, Extract Transactions, and in here you would select a period of time that you want to bring GL transactions for to perform your reconciliation. So typically this is going to be the equivalent date range as your bank statement. Now I am picking a full month from March 1st to March 31st just because of the way my data is set up. But because we provide with range capabilities, date range capabilities, you can really reconcile as often as you want or as little as you'd like. So you could do a monthly reconciliation, you could do weekly, you could even do daily. We have a lot of customers that do daily reconciliations and they just kind of build their monthly reconciliation on a daily basis, doing the matching, and then at the end of the month they essentially just have a couple additional steps to do to finalize the reconciliation for the month. So that provides you with a lot of flexibility. I'm going to do an extraction just for that bank account, my demo bank account, and I'm going to extract. So now our software is going to the GL tables and pulling in all the GL transactions associated with this cash account. And that's all been defined in my setup. I'm just going to print this little extract screen, report to screen for you to see. Essentially, this report will just tell you how many transactions have been extracted, 31 in this case, and if there was any extraction exception, they would be listed on here. We support multi-currency, so that if you have a bank account that perhaps manages multiple currencies, you would have the ability to use our software to do the reconciliation, and that's typically sometimes what you see under extract exceptions here is some of these multi-currency transactions if they're not coming through with the right rates or things like that. So if I go back to my reconcile screen on here and redisplay, I'm going to have all my March GL transactions now showing up on the left-hand side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on the right-hand side my bank statement. So before I bring it in, I just want to show you the CSV file that we're importing. So in this case, I'm importing a CSV file which indicates all the bank transactions for the month of March. So there's a number of EFT, some deposits, some checks. Some items are highlighted in yellow here just to draw your attention to them, because as I walk through the rest of the demo, we'll be talking about these elements. The bank fees would be an example of a recurring transaction that hits my bank every month, and instead of me having to go and do a journal entry or an increase-decrease adjustment, I just want to import and automatically post it to the GL because I'm going to see it every month. So based on the fact that there is a transaction identifier of $4.99 along with this transaction, I'm able to set up the software so that every time ABR sees transaction $4.99, it will automatically post it to my bank fee account. Also want to draw your attention to this payroll grouping here. So that's a perfect example of payroll transactions that have been posted individually in the GL, but they are actually being processed as a big, as one large ACH payment at the bank level. So we're going to talk about grouping capabilities with this item here. We're also going to talk about grouping capabilities with this deposit. So this is a typical example of cash receipts that have been recorded in the GL individually again, and on the fly I'm going to create a bank deposit to match to my bank. So let's go back in GP onto statement import. So I'm going to select the demo and import. So when we set up and implement our software, we will help you define the mapping between the fields in ABR and how they correspond to your bank CSV file or BAI file. So that's all part of the setup process. So that when you hit statement import here, it's just a matter of clicking statement import, and then it will populate the right-hand side of our reconcile screen with our bank statement information. Now, just a little bit of navigation here. With our software, you have full drill down capabilities, so that if I highlight a transaction, a GL transaction on the left-hand side, you will notice that I can hover over the Microsoft Dynamics GP transaction link here and actually drill onto that transaction. So I can see full detail of that cash receipt should I need to find out a little bit more about what this is. I can even drill. We leverage the full drilling down capabilities of Dynamics GP by even providing a drill down all the way to the source document. So if your transaction originated in any of the subledgers, even though it's a GL transaction that we pull here, we have full drill down capabilities to the original subledger it came from, providing you with full visibility. Now, what is coming through by default is the reference field associated with these journal entries, which sometimes, especially when it comes from a subledger, it's a bit redundant information and not very useful in the process of reconciling your bank statement. So we have the ability to switch your view so that you can change between the reference field and the document number. Often the document number that flows through will be a little bit more meaningful when you're trying to match to the statement side. Same idea on the statement side. If you want to switch between the reference and the document field for easier matching, you have the ability to do that. We also have searching and filtering capabilities that are extremely useful when you're trying to reconcile large sets of data. I'll start with searching capability here. So let's say that I want to find a very specific transaction based on a transaction date. Now, I can click any field. So I'm going to close this. Right now, the field that's highlighted in bold is transaction date, which is why the find by transaction date came up. Now, let's say I want to find a document number. Then I would click on my document number, click on my searching tool, and now I can search by document number. So you're kind of controlling how you want to do your search by selecting the right field. So let's say I want to see check number, for whatever reason I'm looking for this check number 20030. So I can use my searching capability to identify very specific transactions that I'm looking for. We also have filtering capabilities allowing you to create subsets of data within your set of data, again, to try and facilitate the reconciliation process. So maybe you want to just be dealing with your cash receipts at this point in time. You just want to work with your cash receipts as you're viewing your information. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say I want to actually see anything that has a document number that contains PYMNT. I happen to know are my cash receipts, and then I go OK. Now you see that from the original set of data, I've now created this subset allowing me to strictly work on the reconciliation of my cash receipts if I want. So again, both the searching tool and the filtering tools are very, very handy in situations where you have large sets of data and really facilitate your ability to view the transactions that you need to pay attention to. I'm going to remove this filtering data now because I want to see everything. So that's a little bit about navigation. Now let's take a look at what happened here. So when I brought in, I can see right here that I've got a bank fee that's already matched with a matching number of 21. And on the right-hand side, actually let's sort this. So let's sort our matching number. So that's the other capability of our software is you can also sort your data based on the fields that you're clicking on. So I'm going to sort in descending order. I'm going to do the same thing on the right-hand side. And now I'm seeing that my item 21, so this is the example I talked about earlier. So upon importing my bank statement, a GL transaction was automatically created and automatically matched to that bank statement. So I don't have to do, other than importing the bank statement, have nothing to do, and that transaction is taken care of. I can drill onto that transaction just to show you, and the fact that the batch ID starts with NCABR indicates that this is a journal entry that was posted as part of that import process. Now the next logical step would be to ask our software to propose what transactions should be matched together. So based on matching rules that are defined during the implementation and the setup, we're going to let the software propose to us what should go together. Primarily in my demo data here, I have my system set up to match based on amounts and also based on document number or check numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and click propose, and you'll see that I've got a bunch of match numbers that have showed up now for all the elements that have been matched together. I have a little display button at the bottom allowing me to switch between seeing all transactions to only matched ones or unmatched ones. So let's have a look at just the matched transactions first. So here's my set of matched transactions, and they are sorted by match numbers, so it's very easy for you to visualize how the software went through and matched based on document numbers and also amounts. So these cash receipts have been matched together even though they're not necessarily the same document number, because they were the same amount, 1065, they were matched together. Once that matching is reviewed and you're satisfied with, you would typically, as part of the process, now switch to your unmatched list of transactions. And that's what I'm saying. Those are the only transactions that you would have to deal with at this point in time. So I've got a couple transactions on the right-hand side I need to work with. So I've got this check here, 23, which appears to be on this side as well. But you'll notice that the amount is actually different by a penny. So even though it was recorded as 26 cents in the GL, it actually hit the bank at 25 cents. Now we can have ABR take care of that for you by selecting both transactions and identifying at the bottom here a difference of a penny between the two selected transactions. Now I can go to my tool, my Create GL Transaction icon up here, and ABR will automatically start the creation of a journal entry to address this penny difference. So it will automatically bring me to a transaction date that corresponds to my reconciliation date. I will be able to identify, put a description in the reference field, so perhaps just a little reconciliation difference, whatever reference you want to put in. And it will already be populated with the cash account that we are working with for the penny difference. And now I just have to put the other leg of the entry. So just for sake of demonstration, I'm going to pick anything because it doesn't really matter. So here's the credit for the penny, and then we're going to post. Now upon posting, we not only, post the journal entry, I'm going to cancel that, but we actually bring forward this new GL transaction onto our screen, automatically matched with the original two transactions. So you can see now that I have two transactions on the left-hand side that matches the one on the bank statement for a difference of 0. I'm happy with that. I'm going to match these three. Boom. Those three are dealt with, and they're now showing up in my matched series of transactions. Let's handle the rest of this. We've got also a little transfer in, a little 6969 that hit my bank, but I can see that hasn't been matched and it's not anywhere in the GL. So I'm going to create a transactions for this. Assuming that it's a maybe interest income that was received. There's a bit of a delay. Oh, I have to click on it, that's why. So I'm going to highlight the transaction so that the software knows I want to create a GL transaction for this. And I'm going to click on my little Create GL Transaction icon. And once again, it's going to default all the necessary information for me. Maybe I'm recording some interest income that came through. Here's my cash debit, and I'm going to record this as a revenue somewhere. It's not really sales, but let's just put it against sales. Let's post this transaction, and same idea as earlier. Now ABR posted the GL transaction, brought it forward on the left-hand side for me to match with the original bank transaction. I'm happy, difference of 0, match these two items, they're gone. Now you'll notice that we have a deposit left, and this deposit is actually made up, I have a deposit slip in front of me here, and I know that it's made up of a number of cash receipts that we received from the customer. Two options here. I can click the various transactions on the fly and create and match it against my bank statement for a difference of 0, and then go match, and we're done. Some people, and I just take the opportunity to do this to highlight the consolidate on the ability. Some people do like to not leave the detail on the left-hand side and just kind of see that summarized information. So you have the ability to consolidate individual transactions on the GL side into one journal entry. It's not, I say journal entry, it's not posting a journal entry, it's merely doing kind of a grouping of transactions here on the fly. So I'm going to create this deposit, and I'm going to give it a transaction date of, I should type it in, 2017-03-15, let's say, And I'm going to come, so these are all the transactions that are left that are not matched yet, unmatched. So I'm going to sort by document number so that all my payments are together here and it's easier for me to see. And I'm going to select the same transactions that we selected on the other screen earlier. I'm going to add that to my deposit or my grouping for the 6,074 and 40. And I'm going to save that. And now what that has done is kind of consolidated those 5 cash receipts into one deposit amount on the left-hand side, allowing me to visually identify this transaction against the bank statement transaction. So those elements are now matched, and we're going to match. Now the grouping capability I just went through, we did it on the fly. So, you know, on this, while I had all the transactions, I decided I wanted to group these transactions together. If you recall from my CSV file, we also had payroll data that upon importing in the GL, it was automatically grouped for me. So I have set up my demo environment to group anything that was identified as a batch, as a payroll batch. So this grouping was completed and matched against the payroll ACH withdrawal on the bank side. If I want to see the grouping that the software automatically did for me upon extraction of the GL, I can drill on that and see the same screen that we were just looking at so that I can see how this $5,241 amount was made up of. So it is made up of 3 payroll transactions. So again, just kind of demonstrating how you can group items and just facilitate the consolidation of GL transactions to match how it actually hit your bank. Back to the unmatched state, I can see that there's nothing left on the statement side, leaving me essentially with the outstanding items that have been entered in the GL but have not hit my bank yet. So those would be my outstanding cash receipts and my outstanding checks. Essentially, taking my current book balance plus and minus the outstanding items creates a difference of 0 with my statement ending balance. So we're kind of saying that we're reconciled upon considering all of these outstanding items. So at this point, I'm going to hit reconcile because I'm happy with that. And we're going to look at a couple reports to give you an idea of reporting and inquiry capabilities of our software. So upon reconciling, you're always going to get your reconciled transaction report. So that's just a bit of an audit trail. And these reports can all be reprinted at any point in time. But this is an audit trail of what item was matched to what item on the GL side and the bank side. So kind of just walk you through all the transactions that have been matched together. The second report is the one that you're probably familiar with and mostly looking for, and also a requirement for audit purposes, is your bank reconciliation report. So this is a report that will highlight your bank closing balance of $950 against your, your bank statement balance, yes, against your GL of $940, and the difference being made up of outstanding GL deposits and GL checks. Now this is the summary. The first page is always kind of the summary report, and the second page will actually show you the breakdown of these outstanding items so that you can clearly identify what was outstanding at that point in time. And again, this report, this reconciliation report, can be printed at any point in time. So historically, as of today, I could reprint my December 31st, 2015 report if I wanted to. One last little thing that I like to demonstrate, so that essentially takes care of your reconciliation process. We brought in the GL transactions on the left-hand side. We brought in our bank statement transactions on the right-hand. We let the software do some auto-matching and auto-grouping rules to try to automate the reconciliation process as much as possible, leaving us dealing with the unmatched transactions and then the final reconciliation reports. There's a little inquiry screen that I like to quickly show because that's something that I know is a bit challenging sometimes with the GP module, but in here is very handy, is our check inquiry. So at any point in time, if you're wanting to know whether a check cleared the bank, what status is it at, we have an inquiry allowing you to do that. So I could say, well, I want to know where check 240 is at, and actually I changed my data, so now I'm going to remember. So here's check 24, for instance. So at any point, I could come on here, type in my check number, and then it will kind of tell me, give me an idea of where that check is at. So I can see right away from this screen that there's a match number associated with it, meaning that it did clear the bank. If I want to find out a little bit more information about it, I can actually drill onto the statement and see what statement it cleared. So it actually cleared the March 31st statement, and I can see it as part of my my list of transactions. That's 64 over here. So just a really handy little tool to be able to keep track of checks that have cleared or not cleared yet. So that would complete a demonstration of our advanced bank reconciliation module. Whoops, I'm sorry. So now just to give you a little bit of feedback, Derek highlighted at the beginning that we have been working with these products for quite a number of years, and we do have a lot of customers with it. So here's just an example of Brendan here, a senior accountant at Iowa Clinic, and some of his feedback on our advanced bank reconciliation module and how our seamless import and extracting mechanism really allowed him to streamline his bank reconciliation process. Now on to our intercompany postings for Dynamics GP. Same idea, we'll give you just a quick product overview and then demonstrate in the actual application. So intercompany postings will automatically support the posting and balancing of transactions between multiple entities in Dynamics GP. So it's a complete and full automation of your intercompany posting process with an original transaction being posted in the source company, and our application will initiate the posting of the transactions all the way through to the destination companies. We've got two setup options. You can do these intercompany postings leveraging our trigger method or our alternate method. The trigger method is more of the complete automation in the sense that it allows you to, our software will allow you to predefine account relationships between GL accounts between the two companies, so that upon posting to an account, it will just automatically take care of all the intercompany postings for you, therefore eliminating the need for user intervention. So I'll demonstrate that in a moment. The alternate method has just a little bit more flexibility in the sense that even though instead of predefining one GL account to another account relationship, you're just letting a little bit more flexibility in the user entering the GL account they want to work with at the time of data entry. So there's a little bit more user intervention, but sometimes that's useful for situations where you got the one-off transactions that's not always posted to the same account. Last element here is just indicating that our intercompany posting, some people ask, just in advance of perhaps the question, we do support intercompany postings not only between across multiple GP company databases, which is more the intercompany concept, but if you also have multiple companies identified perhaps with a segment in your GL within one company database, we can also facilitate some intercompany posting for you that way as well. Before I jump into the demonstration, I'll take the opportunity to briefly talk about the AR for cash receipts because it is a bit of an extension of our intercompany posting product. The AR for cash receipts, along with the intercompany module, kind of helps you streamline the processing of payments across multiple companies. So that's a situation where perhaps you receive a cash receipt from a customer in company A, but it is actually paying for sales documents in other Dynamics GP companies. Our software will not only allow you to apply across the companies, but it will also make sure it takes care of the debits and the credit memos to make sure that we balance out the transactions between the companies and creating the do-to-do-from transaction in the process. So even though this module can be purchased independently, for people that just want to use just want to do intercompany for AR cash receipts, so that can be purchased by itself, but it's also incorporated in our intercompany posting solution. So let's have a quick peek at intercompany postings. So in my demo here, I have two companies. I've got FabC, which will be interacting with FabD. So we're going to be creating some transactions between these two organizations and demonstrate how all the intercompany postings, including due to, due froms between companies, are automatically created. So I'm going to start with our trigger method. A trigger method is based on this account setup screen here. So this is where you define that one-to-one relationship between the originating account in FabC and the destination account in FabD. So that would be a situation where you know every time you post a transaction to 618110, that is identified as a FabD transaction, and we will automatically generate the related posting in that company. So that information is all set up here on this screen. If you have multiple accounts that you need to set up, you don't have to set them one by one. Perhaps that's a question that comes to mind right now. We do have template capabilities allowing you to leverage question marks as a masking tool to be able to create a series of predefined relationships between the GL accounts between the companies. That's, again, all part of the setup and the implementation that we help you with. Let's just process a transaction to see how it works. So let's assume that I want to enter an invoice. In this case, we are going to pay a vendor for a rent expense that I want to allocate, that I want to distribute between the two companies. So I'm going to pay my rent to Allenson Properties. I'm going to give it a document number, doesn't really matter. And let's say that I'm paying $1,600 in rent expense this month that I want to distribute a portion of to the other company. So what I'm going to do now is I don't want to post all of this $1,600 to FabC, which is essentially identified with my last segment in the GL here. I actually want to only post to FabC, my originating company, $1,000, and I want to post the difference to my trigger account, which is FabD. So that's the 600. If I expand this to show you, so see how I'm sending rent expense within FabC of $1,000 first line, and then third line I'm going to send a rent expense to FabD for $600. Upon posting this transactions, intercompany posting is going to kick in and automatically create the intercompany posting in the other company. So I'm going to show you the posting here. So this is my original posting. So I'm in FabC, my main company. I recorded my rent expense, and it got posted to the two rent expense account and accounts payable. Now, this is the AP posting. I have purposely set up my environment to not post through the GL so that I can show you some additional information. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to post this. So right now it's sitting in my GL waiting to be posted. That intercompany posting is going to kick off. Upon posting this in the GL, I'm going to get my GL posting, and that will trigger my intercompany posting in FabD. So here's my NC intercompany report and the posting journal associated with that. So we're going to look at those three reports one by one. So here's the original GL posting, which corresponds to the GL posting we were looking at with the payable transaction a moment ago. And here's my intercompany report. So every time you post a transaction based on a trigger account, you will always see the information related to it and always know what has been posted. So I've got my 3494, and I know that it's the corresponding entry in the other company is the 3463. So, and here's the posting here in FAB-C, because in FAB-C now I have to take that rent expense for FAB-D and move it to the due to due from, because that's where I want it to reside. And then what happened in FAB-D, which is where I'm going to go now, I'm going to switch companies. Now I'm in FAB-D, and if I do a journal inquiry on the journal entry here, here's my transaction in this company, which is against the rent expense. So essentially debiting rent expense here and creating a related credit in the due to FAB-C account. You will notice that you also have full audit trail of our transactions as well. So I can see that this journal entry was actually generated by journal entry 3494 in the FAB-C company. This is clearly identified for me in the reference field on the right-hand side here. So that was to demonstrate our trigger method. So as you can see, the trigger method, upon posting to an account that had a predefined relationship to another account in the other company, all of this intercompany posting automatically happened, and I didn't have to do anything. Now I'm going to show you the alternate method, which is more for one-offs type transactions that you want to post across companies. Same idea, we're going to do a purchasing entry here. We're going to select a different vendor for a miscellaneous expense. So I'm going to charge, just do a charge to America charge here. And let's say that I'm recording a $120 miscellaneous expense. So because it's kind of a miscellaneous, it doesn't always get posted to the right place. I don't have a predefined posting relationship in this case. So I'm just going to go to the distribution screen. And I'm actually going to, so I know that I don't want to post this to account 1220 in this case. I want to actually post this to my FAB-D company, because this expense, I'm paying it in FAB-C, but it belongs to FAB-D really. So what I'm going to do to trigger that intercompany now is I'm going to say, well, I don't want to post this to an expense account in FAB-D. I actually want to post this to my due to due from, or my due from FAB-D. So 1291 is that account, and upon selecting that due to due from for FAB-D, I have this little IC icon now available so that I can go search in the FAB-D company for the account that I want to post this to. So let's just do miscellaneous account, which is 6780. Whoops, I didn't go in the wrong way. I could have typed it in, by the way, but I'm just going to go pick it here. So now I've set up the system so that in FAB-C it will post against my accounts payable and my due from FAB-D, and in the FAB-D it's going to post the opposite or the other entry for the due to FAB-C, I mean, and the miscellaneous expense in that company. So I'm going to save that. Okay, post. And this is where intercompany posting takes over to generate all these transactions. So once again, let's take a look at our purchasing transaction journal. So in FAB-C, we're posting against our payable and our due from FAB-D. And upon, again, I'm just I have a two-step process here, but if you post through your GL, you won't have the additional posting to do here, which is right here. So here's my, and then here's my intercompany process that is being kicked off. So upon closing this window, we're going to get that report indicating that 3464 is our related journal entry in FABD, which I will quickly go and show you, and how, once again, there is a link between all these transactions. So now every time I look at this FABD transaction in here, I can see the related, that it came from FABC journal entry 3496, allowing me to easily find out where these transactions, these intercompany transactions came from. So that's our intercompany posting demo. And once again, just another example of a customer that is using our product, using them to create intercompany transactions between 4 companies, have found that it has helped them tremendously with reconciling their intercompany at the end of the month. So making sure that all of these due to, due from between companies are always in balance. There's never a situation where, you got a one-off entry and you got to figure out, okay, well, why did this not go here, or did I forget this? Your due to, due froms are always in balance with our application. Now, just a little bit on Intercompany Pop and SOP, and to be sensitive to the time and wanting to leave you a little bit of time for Q&A as well. What I'm going to do here is just give you a quick product overview. I won't get into as extensive of a demonstration, but just wanted to give you an idea of how this product works, as it would benefit company environments that share inventory items across multiple GP databases, essentially where we see our application being a really good fit, because it will really support the creation of trading relationships between the multiple company databases. So it's primarily designed for manufacturing and distribution companies that perhaps maintain a centralized inventory in one location, but they accept orders in a lot of other locations, and they just need to move the inventory back and forth between the company with the proper purchase orders, sales transactions, payments, and receipts being kept in balance between the companies. It does also support deferring functional currencies, which is nice if you have, let's say, a company in the US that is transacting with a company in Europe, for instance. Process overview on that product. You have a company A that is kind of your source company where you take your customer orders, and then we got company B, that's your distribution center. That's where the centralized inventory is located at. So company A wants to create a purchase order to vendor destination company, and upon printing and releasing that PO in GP, it will automatically, Intercompany Pop to SOP, will automatically create a sales order in company B. So now I have a sales order from customer source that I want to fulfill and transfer to an invoice. So upon fulfilling the inventory order and everything, I will transfer that to an invoice. Upon creating that invoice in company B, it will auto-generate a PO receipt for the original PO that was created in company A. So now I've received the inventory in this company, effectively taking care of all the transfer pricing between my companies and the inventory values and everything. And now I can process my customer sales order in company A, calculating proper product margins and all that based on the transfer pricing that I've effectively generated through this process. So at a high level, that's how it works. I won't get into GP to demonstrate this full process again, just to keep on time with our demonstration. But those were mainly, that kind of demonstrate all of our products, primarily focused on advanced bank reconciliation and all of our intercompany functionality.